Hi, this is Pat Duckworth, the author of Hot Women Rock, How to Discover Your Midlife Entrepreneurial Mojo. And I travel the world from my kitchen talking to other entrepreneurs to find out more about their story and to find out what I can learn from them. I just love learning new stuff. So my guest today made a big decision to take a mature gap year at the age of 53. That seems totally appropriate as we're in the middle of the holiday season now. She's worked for most of her life in the retail industry for large and small store operators. She won the prestigious title of Independent Retailer of the Year in 1996, a nationwide competition open to all independent small retailers. She's the co-owner of Express Imaging, a photographic retail business in Cardiff. She's trained and acted as a counsellor with Cardiff Concern. And where is she at the moment? Well, she's currently teaching English in rural Thailand. So we're off to Thailand. And it's a big Hot Women Rock welcome to Angela Elwood. Angela, should I call you Angela or are you Ange?
My friends call me Ange, but Angela's fine.
Okay, we might flip between the two. So you are in the sweltering heat of Thailand today.
Yes. Hello from Thailand.
And you've just finished teaching for the day?
I teach in a private school in the rural rice-growing region of Thailand, and I teach 4 classes, 4 days a week, for an hour each.
Wow.
English day. And there's nobody else that speaks English in the school, so quite a task.
And what's your Thai like?
My pastor Thai Noi Ka.
Oh. Okay.
Get by.
So I'm going to rewind now back to the beginning of your career. So when you first started out in business, were you working for somebody else or did you start straight out working for yourself?
I think like a lot of women, I just sort of fell into retail. Retail is always seen as a good option, an easy option. It's hard work. And I ended up in managerial positions and then owning our own business as well. So that's where I started from. Wasn't planned. I wanted to be a nurse or a hairdresser or something. But, you know, life goes really quickly, doesn't it? And you just sort of make those choices and then suddenly think, oh, here I am.
So at what stage then did you start your own business? How old would you have been then?
We would have been probably 40s. We'd worked for Spa Retailers, which is a small retail organisation. I'd also worked for Asda stores in the training and customer services management. And after leaving them, we bought our own store on City Road in Cardiff and a second store in Cowbridge in South Wales as well. So that's
okay. So when you say we, was this with your husband or a business partner?
Yes, ex-husband, yeah.
Ex-husband, okay.
Yes.
So at that time you were in food retailing mainly, that's where your experience was.
That's right.
And then did you move, was your own business then food retailing or did you go straight into photographic work?
No, we went into food retailing on City Road. And, you know, with any small business, you need to grow it each year and you need to put new services in. And we basically ran out of space in the unit that we had. And we wanted to put a photographic unit in. And then the business next door came up for sale. So we set that up as a photographic business, which has been running now for some 18 years and is Express Imaging in Cardiff.
So a lot has changed both in food retailing and in photographic business. I mean, huge things have happened in photography with everybody moving to digital and then to using their iPhones or whatever phones that they've got. So what lessons did you learn from the early part of your career that enabled you to get so successful in the second part once you became an independent entrepreneur?
I think that we knew our customers very well, but also we knew the competition and, you know, the likes of Tesco's, the bigger stores started opening smaller stores and coming into the smaller neighbourhoods. And that really, we saw what was going to happen to the retail business then, especially small stores. And so we got out of the small store at that time. Photographic, well, if you can run a team of people, you can run a team whether you're in a photographic business or whether you're in a retail business in food. And we basically employed, or I basically employed people who knew about photography, and I was the retail manager within that team. And my love for photography has grown from that business and also expertise.
Yeah, so why did you decide to set up your own business? What was the point where you just thought, yeah, we're going to do this for ourselves?
I think that retail's long hours, and if you're going to work long hours, then you might as well do it for yourself. And it was worth, at the time, we were one of the only small retailers, and we opened 24 hours a day. So at the time, it was different, and we were able to trade and do very well from it. And that's why we made the move. You might as well work for yourself as work for anybody else, really, in retail.
Yeah. So at what stage then did you train to do counselling? What was the thinking behind that?
Well, what happened was, in the sort of timeline of things, was we had the two retail businesses doing really, really well, and then we adopted twins. And at that point, you cannot run a 24-hour business and be a 24-hour mum. So for me, I trained as a counsellor with kind of concern, and worked with people, adult survivors of abuse, relationship counselling, stuff like that. And that's where that side of me came, because I was at home after working with people, adults, for so long. I was suddenly with these tiny tots I had to get to know as well. And I think it was a case of survival.
So how old were the twins when you adopted them?
They were 14 months old.
Wow, that was a big step.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was a big step. But it was one, they're 21 this year. And, I wouldn't be without them. I wouldn't do it again, but I wouldn't certainly not be without them. And that's, they are our kids, and that's it.
Yeah. So was there anything that you learned from the counselling that you've then brought back into the way you do business or the way your life's developed since then?
I don't think so, because I was working, I can communicate very well with people, and people do open up to me because they seem to trust me. So no, not from the counselling, probably, no.
Yeah.
It's just something I did for myself.
And what was the decision to have a mature gap year? What brought that about?
Well, after we adopted the twins, things are difficult. Things are not easy, especially with twins and adoption. And there are issues that you're not prepared for and not ready for. And I think that marriages struggle under those circumstances. I brought up the kids from the time when they were about 6 on my own, and it was hard work. They weren't the easiest of children to bring up, but I did it. But in doing that, I had to squash an awful lot of my own dreams and my own freedom to do that. And the years slipped past me very, very quickly. And I can remember waking up when they were 18 and thinking, gosh, we've made it. We've made it in one piece, the three of us, we're fine. And then I began to read some self-help books, because as a middle-aged woman, you can sometimes begin to feel a little bit lost, a little bit invisible. Yeah. And I did lots of online courses just to make myself start to think again. And when the kids had been small, I'd educated myself in, I'd gone to local colleges to do a BA in vocational training and also a master's in education, because I just felt, coming from the sort of entrepreneurial business world into motherhood, which don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's a bad move or anything. What I'm saying, it was difficult for me because brain-wise, I still needed to sort of operate. And I think when the kids were 18 when I left home, and I can remember having a conversation with a neighbour who had taken her family to Canada. And we were talking about the UK from the outside, what it looked like. The UK is not a very happy place sometimes, and I got that feeling. And I can just remember thinking, I'm going to go and have a look for myself. I'm going to go outside the UK, and I'm going to travel. I'm going to take a year off. And I don't know if I thought about that over the years or if I dreamt about it, but as soon as I made that decision, I knew exactly where I wanted to go, and it just started from there.
So where did you go?
I went to Southeast Asia. I knew exactly where I wanted to go. I've always been interested in Cambodia, Vietnam, the history. You know, Cambodians' history is when we were in school, you know, and we had no idea about it. So I'm fascinated by these countries. I'm also fascinated by people who travel, and people who travel alone. And I think that for me, I just wanted to try it. I really wanted to go and experience and just test myself to make sure that I could still operate on my own. And
Yeah.
there's this feeling of becoming a middle-aged, invisible woman. I'm not saying I want to be sort of highly visible or anything, but you know, I'd given so much of my time away and my life away to bringing up the kids. I had a choice at that age whether I was going to give in, give up, get old, whatever, or pack my bags and just try something else for a while. I think the biggest thing for me would have been not to have done it, and to have quickly got to 60 and suddenly thought, well, it's a bit too late now. And that was the really big thing for me.
Yeah. And I think so many women get to that point in their life where they've given a lot of themselves to setting up their home, their family, supporting other people. And then they turn around and think, well, what was it that I wanted to do? What was my dream? And that can be the point where they start to make those really big changes. And that's what fascinates me. So many more women now at midlife are becoming entrepreneurs and finding that thing that they really wanted to do and the thing that makes them feel good about it all.
No, and I think that there's lots of us my age who are single. Not single anymore, but they you know, I was single at the time. Still fit. I'm financially independent, and why not go? You know, I was suddenly free again. And I think that there's a lot of women who are in the same stage as me, but are very nervous about making that step to actually get on the plane and go to the other side of the world and just go on your.
Lovely. So this is Pat Duckworth talking to Angela Elwood, who's in Thailand. I think that's our first for me is Thailand. I don't think I've talked to Zanzibar and Canada and America, but I think Thailand's a new one. And we're just talking about, you know, that thing that motivates you to make a change at midlife. So you had your gap year and the gap year's over. So tell me what's happening now and what's motivating you now to take the next step?
I think having the gap year, I mean, I had a lot of time by myself, and I found that even though I was traveling alone, I wasn't really on my own. People helped me with seats, directions. You know, I mean, I'm blonde, I stand out in Asia, you know, I'm on my own, I'm a woman. And I always had a lot of help from people. When I went home, after a year away, it was interesting because, you know, you talk about the mature gap year, but suddenly the gap behind me had changed. Everybody had gone on with their lives. The kids were fine. The business was fine. Everything that I'd sorted out before I went had you know, worked. And I found that maybe I just wasn't missed, but you know, I was out of place again. And I sat down with a friend who knew me very, very well, knew my situation, knew my family. And I said to her, you know, what is it that I'm feeling at the moment? I feel guilty about taking time away from the children. They're not children anymore, they're young adults. I feel I should be home. You know, what is it that's going on in my head? And we worked out that I was feeling very guilty about my choices. And I think as women, we can feel very, very guilty when we make a step for ourselves that we think other people are going to be affected by. And actually, people get along quite well without us. And it's a small world because you can keep in contact on social media, by phone, by email. You know, you're not really on your own. You know, it's a very small world.
Yeah. So you went home, you had that kind of moment of revelation that the world had carried on turning while you weren't there. So how did you decide what to do next?
I realised that teaching had come out of this gap year, which was a surprise to me. I hadn't wanted to be a teacher, But I think because of the way that we're brought up, we feel that we have to sort of work rather than go on a year's holiday. So I'd taken a couple of volunteer placements, and I worked as a teacher teaching English in Cambodia and in Thailand. And I absolutely loved it. And I found that I could do it. And it was something that I was good at. So maybe I'd moved my training past over, my management past, all those skills came with me. And I was able to communicate, even in languages that they didn't know what I was talking about and I didn't know what they were talking about. But I was able to figure out a way to convey English to them. And I was quite proud of myself. And I realised that that was actually what I wanted to do. I wanted to teach. And so I'd made links with a school in Thailand, and very tenuous links to say, look, if I can come back, I will come back and I'll teach. And that's what I've done.
And is that what you're going to carry on doing for a while, or where do you think life is leading you next?
I think life is leading me, because the other surprise that came out of the year was I found that I was able to write. I found going sort of around the world, people would say to me, gosh, you're so brave to be on your own, God, wow, what are you doing on your own? You're so brave. And I thought, well, I'm not brave actually. I'm just curious about other people and other cultures, and I love traveling, I love observing, I love photography. And I started to write about my experiences, the little things, the small things that made me laugh, made me smile. And I wrote up a book, sent it to publishers, and they accepted it. And it's been published, and it's doing very, very well. It's
done.
called A Year in Flip-Flops, because when I got home, the other thing that I found was putting my feet back into boots or shoes was really painful after having a year of flip-flops and freedom. So I'd also like to write. I've just published in Psychologist magazine as well, an article. So that's another side of me that I'd really like to pursue as well. And by teaching in this rural part of Thailand, it gives me the opportunity to write and to teach. So it's really good. Really
fantastic. Good. So what do you think motivates you now? What gets you up in the morning?
I love the freedom. I love having time to think, to write, to teach. I mean, I love my kids dearly, but if I was home, they'd be taking so much from me. And yet they've shown that, all the skills I've shown them over the years, they are independent people. And, I'm really proud of that. I'm happy in what I'm doing at the moment. I love riding a bike without a helmet. Absolute freedom. So that's what sort of gets me up in the morning. And the thought of traveling again and just getting on a train or a bus and just observing the world and speaking to people and talking to people who have contacted me on the internet and said, look, I want to come to Thailand, I want to go and teach, how do you do it? And I said, well, just come, come and do it. It's easy.
So what would your advice be to women who've just got to that stage where they're taking stock and thinking, this first part of my life has been fine, but now I want to do something else? What would you say to those women?
I think if you're fit enough and financially able enough and you haven't got anybody who needs you, I think that you should give it a try. I think that you should find somewhere that you want to go in the world. There's lots of people out here, and you can contact me as well if you want to come up to Southeast Asia, and just give it a try. Because when I first came, my biggest fear was, what if I get lost? What if I don't like it? What if it's too hot? What if I get bitten? What if I get ill? All these reasons not to come. But actually, when you think about it, you're only a day away from home at any time. So if things went wrong, then I could just jump on a plane and go home.
Yeah.
Go wrong, and for me, that was a big thing for me, just to push through and to just make it work.
And what do you think you've learnt from those travels? I mean, I travel a lot because I speak all over the world, and I normally travel on my own. What do you think you've learnt from the traveling that you've done?
I think I've learned that I'm okay as a person. I think you lose a lot of your identity when you're a mum, um, and a person, a woman in the UK as well, because we, as middle-aged, we become very invisible in the UK. In these societies out here, we're not seen as invisible. We're seen as being they call us beautiful, and because we're older, they respect us. The culture is totally different out here.
Mm.
I forgot the question.
It was, what do you learn from your travels?
Sorry. I've learned that I'm a very independent person. I'm very capable, and I've got back that sheer pleasure of just relishing in the moment and enjoying the small pleasures in life, and just getting, and when things go wrong, to just say, oh, okay, it's all right, it's okay. So the bus is broken down, so we'll sit and we'll wait. And I think, in the UK, it's all part of a rat race, isn't it? And you're always running to get to school, to get to work, to get to Washington. It's not like that out here at all. You just literally, just slow down. And I've loved that. I've really loved that.
Fantastic.
I really appreciate the small things.
Lovely. So if anybody watching wants to get in contact with you or learn more about you or buy your book, how can they do any of that?
I'm on Facebook as Angela Elwood, and you can also contact the website, which is www.ayearinflipflops.co.uk, and you can see more photographs, more blogs, more information.
Fantastic. I think you could be ending up with more visitors on your doorstep, Ange.
I'll do a tour operation instead.
Well, there's always that possibility. The company that I've travelled to Japan with was started by a guy who went to live in Japan, and members of the family started coming out to see him, and he started guiding them around, and in the end he set up his own company. So who knows, that could be the future.
Well, at the back of my mind, I've talked to a couple of other women out here, I think that there's a lot of women who would like to make the step to come, but they're unsure, uncertain. And I think, if they knew that there were people out here who could meet them at the airport, just do the first couple of days with them, then I think that they might try it.
Sounds like a good plan to me. And who knows, if there's a conference in Thailand, you might find me on your doorstep.
Great. Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today and all the things that you've learned. And to everybody watching, thank you for joining us, and keep watching out for more of these world travels with entrepreneurs, finding out more about what we can learn from their stories. Till next time, take care.